Hello everyone. I've had a lot of people asking me about what it took to build this car. Um, I don't know exactly where to start, but it is originally a four-door PT Cruiser. I didn't build the actual body of the car. Somebody else had started this V8 project, and I got it from them. I put the roll cage in. I redid basically everything that they did because it wasn't the best, I should say. Um, Everything but the exterior basically has been redone. I built the roll cage. It's all TIG welded. Let's see. I guess we can start by the back doors are welded shut. Give it that sedan delivery kind of look. Shifter, I did have two seats in it. I still have the other seat. Gonna put back in there because I do enjoy giving people rides. It's kind of thrilling for them and for me. It's got a 440 in it. It's out of a 69 Newport. I did every bit of the work on this car except for I had the block board over by a machine shop. I had a board over 30,000. Other than that, I've done everything else. Fabricated most of the stuff that you see here. Let me get the hood open. Here's the motor. That's an 8V71 supercharger off of Detroit diesel. I had a different drive system on it when I originally put it together. I made that too, but then it was running two serpentine belts, and we just had a lot of trouble with it. So I went ahead and bit the bullet and bought a drive system off eBay. Pieced it together. Aluminum radiator, aluminum front support, custom made intake, carb adapters. Setting up on top, we got two 1050 Dominators. MSD ignition system. The engine's all roller. It has stainless steel roller rockers. Roller cam. That's a competition cam. 308 advertised duration. I can't remember the exact spec at 50, but I'm pretty sure it's a 640 lift. So it's a pretty radical cam, but it's on a 110 center line, which is a good cam combination for a supercharger. Everything down to the idler pulley I did make out of another old blower pulley. Front suspension. It's got a Mustang 2 front suspension. Some Jegs wheels I got at a swap meet. In the back we got a 9-inch. It's got aluminum center section. Also eBay material. If anybody's seen the last video I had up, at the drag strip, had a transmission failure. Well, I went through and found the problem with that, which was the main clutch pack. It'd be the second clutch pack in the transmission. See, they kind of got a little melded and welded together there. And the problem was I found a blockage in the input shaft that wasn't allowing the piston to compress all the way. This is the input shaft here. Somehow there was a blockage from these holes here up into the where it runs the piston up in the top here. And I put it all back together, took it to the drag strip, or no, I didn't take it to the drag strip. I took it out in the country to test it, and it failed again almost immediately. Then I came back to find out that I think I may have mixed up the bad shaft with the good shaft and put it back together that way. I hope that's the problem anyway. So I'm just getting ready to pull the transmission out of it now. That's why I got it jacked up. It's a 727 torque flag, 3800 stall, 389 gears, 29.5 tall slicks by 13.5 wide. Got 14-inch wide rims in the back. I don't know, I guess these are 6-inch wide rims in the front. Switched the Mustang stuff over to 5-bolt in the front. That way you have the same wheels. Got wavy rotors, which I don't know what that exactly means, but they look kind of neat. Yeah, that's a start, I guess. Underneath, I guess the way that this thing was built is they took the regular car and they cut it from basically right below this little area here below the cowl where the windshield wipers and everything would have been. They cut the firewall all the way across, and they cut straight down on each side, right down through here, and then cut the whole floor out. Not the whole floor, I guess. The front half of the floor is cut out right back to this hump in the back where the back seats would have been. And that's where they stopped. They put in this piece of really heavy 10-gauge steel for the floor pan. Bent it down here to make it meet the rockers down below. And just basically welded it all in. Built a small subframe for the front. And if we get underneath and look, oh, let me get some light down there. You can see that there's your frame rails that have been put in here, and then they come back to a big piece of C-channel, and that's where it welds all back into the stock sheet metal. I have when I got it, it had an 8.8 Ford Ranger rear end in it, and it was cobbled in there bad. I was scared to even try to drive it like that, so I took all that out, put in ladder bar suspension, 9-inch. Well, actually, this is the second 9-inch I put in it. The first one, we bent the tube on it. Front wheels went into the front of the car there a little bit and dug in. It was pretty nasty. Got kind of squirrely after that. So I redid that, put a truck housing in it with a back brace and all that. Yeah. Oh, you can see here on the bottom edge, I don't know if you can really tell. That's how they just bent that down and at a 90 and then welded the bottom of the rocker right to it, the whole length of the car on both sides. That's not exactly how I would have did it, but it works. It gets the job done. I had a big, huge, heavy cross member originally. I took that out and placed that smaller one in there. Yeah, pretty much everything you see has been handmade. Even the drive shaft loop I built, the transmission pan I built. These little mufflers I stick on it for in town here because it's so damn loud. The neighbors really have a fit just backing it on and off the trailer. But that's the gist of it, I guess. Battery right there underneath. I had to put it there because you can't have it in the car anywhere for the NHRA rules, and I certainly didn't want it up in the front where they had it originally. That was kind of bad. Oh, the fuel tank in the back there, that's a stainless steel hydraulic reservoir that come out of a fertilizer plant of some sort. So I don't know what they use it for, but a buddy of mine got it out of the junk, so it makes a good fuel cell. I'm running 2 Holley electric fuel pumps in the back, feeding through 2 3/8 lines, one for each carburetor. Yeah, I don't really know other than that. The engine itself, the lower end, has got stock crank in it, and I've got aftermarket rods, Wiseco pistons, train cam, or no, competition cam, sorry. Speedmaster stainless roller rockers. You know, and there's a couple other little Speedmaster bits in here I ain't real proud of, but they're getting the job done. They're affordable at least. You know, I don't have a lot of money wrapped up in the car. I mean, there's a few pieces on here that cost quite a bit, but you know, the supercharger would come out of a junkyard, so that was $50. The rear end housing I got for $100 from somebody. And of course, that aluminum center section that's in there, that was a little more pricey than that. But that's also an eBay item. But they rate that for 1,200 horsepower. So I'm not at 1,200 yet. So hopefully that'll hold up for a while. I say I put a back brace on the rear end to stop it from bending. It's got brackets back there for the wheelie bars. It's getting closer to needing them, but don't quite need them yet. Yeah, that's about it. Front suspension, Mustang 2, I think I already mentioned that. I had some problems keeping this, holding the weight of this big engine in there. So I got these aftermarket coil springs, and they still work quite enough. So inside of the coil springs is a pair of snowmobile shocks, actually. Come off an Indy snowmobile. They fit in there quite well and give it just enough lift to keep it off the ground. Yeah. I don't know what else I can think of right off the top of my head that somebody might want to know. But yeah, that's about it. I built my drive shaft. That was the original drive shaft that actually fit, but it didn't make it very long. It bent right away and started to shake violently and broke the tail shaft off the transmission. Let's replace that. Let's say I'm getting ready to pull the transmission out now, tear it down and see what's going on in there again. It took off once good and first, just like a drag strip the other day, and after that it was done. Didn't have any gears except for reverse. It's still back up. I did have a trans brake in it earlier in the year, trying to make a trans brake work in there, and I don't know. I was an eBay trans brake bought off somebody. It just did not work right. I kept trying to activate when you're in low gear, just moving. You know, and I couldn't get any information from anybody on it because for some reason that's like a big secret. Everybody builds their own trans brake and then don't want to tell anybody anything about it, so you can't get no parts for it or no idea of how it exactly works. But that's it. Made the bug catcher fit because they don't make the bug catcher fit for these demon or dominator carburetors. It is overdriven. See, I got a 56 tooth pulley on the bottom and a 41 on the top, so it's overdriven quite a bit. It's making about right around 10 pounds of boost with this configuration now. And I say that's just an old Detroit diesel blower. It's probably got 500,000 miles on it, and I just cleaned her up good and put her on here, made it fit. Custom intake, yeah, I said that. I do have an MSD boost controller and adjustable timing box. Blower restraints I picked up at the swap meet. I thought they'd look cool on there. They don't necessarily have to have them for this class. What else? Yeah, that's about it. Aluminum water pump housing. The inside, yeah, I guess there's the aluminum heads I have on here. They're Speedmaster aluminum heads. I've fully poured and polished them myself. Put oversized valves in them, and I mean they're really high flowing now. I got elongated the intake ports to be like a max wedge style intake port, and that was an Indy intake, so I got it all port matched, and which was very difficult. There's not a lot of material left for intake to head sealing, but we got it sealed up finally. And then I don't know, some cheap welding up headers I welded up for it. I do have studs for the heads, just for a little added protection. Yeah, I turned the motor at 7,000 RPMs. It's got a 7,000 chip in it, so 6,800. I'd like to shift it at when it when it will shift. Oh yeah, the valve train, that was kind of difficult. I do have it has titanium valves in it that I got off eBay, used ones. They were a little long for the heads, and so I decided to make them work. And I got Ford FE push rods, ball and cup style. Switched them over to that because they were the right length. The only length I could get, or the only push rods I could get in that length that worked. And I have Chevy Pro Stock roller lifters in there with offset. They're offset lifters, I guess you call them. They don't have the hole in the center where the push rod goes. And that presented a problem because Chevy's oil through the lifters, or Chrysler's oil through the head. And when I put it back together, the amount of oil that it was losing out of the lifters, it just made it have low oil pressure right off the bat. So I put a bigger pump and everything on it. That helped a little bit. Finally, I had to tear it down. I put actual Hemi style roller lifters in there, which threw off my valve train geometry because they're longer. so I ended up having to switch back to the Pro Stock lifters. But what I did is I just took a aluminum bar stock, a little small rod, and I had it pressed down inside of the lifter to plug the oil galleries in the lifter so that it can't oil through the push rod holes anymore. And that took care of it. It's been running like that all last season, just perfectly. Carries about 80 pounds oil pressure now. Yeah, I don't know. She seems to be holding together so far. Making a lot of power. I did drop the blower pulley this season for, I guess it had a 47 tooth on top. Now it's a 41. So I dropped it 6 more teeth on the top. It's been a little bit faster because I was only getting about 8 pounds of boost before. And well, it seems a whole lot more wicked than it did, but I can't keep a transmission together long enough to really truly know. Got some new slicks for it for this year too. So get some actual traction. But yeah, that's pretty well it. Yeah. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments. And everybody, thanks for watching. Have a good night.